Hello, I'm David Pedrick with Ekotrope, and I'm Ekotrope's product manager for our new features that we're building to help you become more efficient with your workflows, saving time, and allowing you to sell new services and provide new value to your clients. Today, here at the RESNET Virtual Conference, I'm here to talk to you about a new tool that we've built that allows you to streamline your inspection workflow. That way, once you've collected data in the field with your field inspection app, that data can be sent directly into an Ekotrope energy model and update that energy model without you needing to transcribe that data manually. We want to also thank the RESNET staff and RESNET organization for putting together this virtual conference. We all know that they had to change plans last minute and go from in-person to virtual, and that's a lot of work. We appreciate them allowing us to have this venue to share some new things in the industry and new ideas and new ways to do our work. Which is really important, especially now as we're thinking about ways to decarbonize and make our homes more energy efficient. So today I'm going to talk about eliminating duplicate data entry in your inspection workflow. That way you can deliver ratings just in time and automate your data entry workflow. We've heard from many of you that entering data twice, once during an inspection and later into your energy modeling software, is a chore. And you wish you could connect your inspection app with your energy modeling tool. We've heard that, and that's what we are going to share with you today of how you can solve that problem. We'll show you exactly how you can connect your inspection app with Ekotrope RATER and outline some considerations for your inspection workflow. We have heard from you, and we know that many of you have data entry specialists, or at the end of the evening after you've completed your inspections, you go home and you enter data furiously, transcribing it from your data entry or your data app, inspection app, into Ekotrope. You have that data app because it serves a lot of purposes and a lot of value for you. It's a checklist and make sure that you don't forget anything. It's a documentation for RESNET, but ultimately you have to have that and then take the data and put it into Ekotrope. And that duplicate data entry is duplicate work. And we want to streamline it so you don't have that work anymore. And you're not furiously typing in data results like this at the end of the day. This re-entry data also has opportunity for fat finger errors. So we want to eliminate that, reduce those QA problems at the same time. Some of the benefits we've seen from others who have done an integration like this is it obviously speeds up your inspection process because you're not having to transcribe that data. And we've heard anywhere between 5 to 20 minutes of data entry time per energy model you can save by connecting your inspection app with your energy model. So you're not typing in data twice, you eliminate that time, and you can use that time to provide other services, other billable time, do marketing or business development, and all those other things that you could be doing to help grow your business a little bit more. It also allows you to update all of the energy models you inspected at once. So if you inspected 10 energy models in the day, or your staff inspected 100 energy models in that day, all of those updates can be completed at once. And that one update takes the same amount of time as if you were doing one at a time. So it really consolidates the update process into one action rather than tens or hundreds. It also reduces the potential fat finger mistakes. We know QA is really important for everybody, and when you're typing in data and you hit the 4 key rather than the 5, and you're in a rush and you don't notice that, that's a potential QA error that may or may not be caught, and this eliminates that potential. So if you're doing QA and you see a mistake, you don't have to check whether or not the data was entered correctly in the data transcription. It's just, hey, did that field rater record that information from their photo and type it in correctly into their inspection app, and you know exactly where, there's only one place where that error could have occurred. It also helps eliminate data entry backlog for your staff and allows you to send reports to your builders ASAP. We know your builders are waiting on this documentation for COs, so their homeowners can move into their homes. They're waiting to show their energy code inspector, all sorts of things. And time is money, and the quicker these reports can be sent to your builders, and those reports are predicated on this field data, makes your builders happier and allows you to send stuff to them more quickly, which I think is a win-win for everybody. So today what I want to do is try and describe the basic workflow of a connected inspection process, talk about important considerations for what software tools and inspection apps do and don't do well, and considerations for if you're going to pick a new tool to start using, which ones are good and what things you should look into. We'll also do a deep dive into the implementation steps, and I'll show you kind of the more rigorous process, as well as tools that you can do to implement this without any coding involved on your part, and show you how that works. We think you shouldn't need a software engineering degree or a software engineer to connect these tools, so we're looking at ways to make that really easy for everybody in the industry to get this benefit. Then we'll also, I'll show you hopefully at the end of this you'll understand the benefits of an integrated process. I'll answer a few frequently asked questions about the integration, and again, I'll demonstrate an example inspection process using the integration. So this is kind of high level how it works. On the right hand side of the screen, or left, I'm not sure which way I'll show, it'll be on the right. You have to read the words still. You have Ekotrope, and you'll build the energy model in Ekotrope. The energy model will be a template, a rough energy model for what you expect to be in that home. You also have a project management tool or a scheduling tool that keeps track of what inspections need to be completed when, by who, and which energy model in Ekotrope that inspection is for. And so ideally those are connected via some of our software connection tools. And every time an inspection is scheduled, the project management tool will dispatch that inspection to your inspection app. And when it dispatches, it'll pull information from Ekotrope, send it to the inspection app. So the inspection app has the address and a few other kind of metadata things about the energy model. That inspection app could be anything from Energy Smack, Dash, Jotform, Pronto Forms, Fast Field Forms, any of the other kind of dozens or hundreds of different inspection apps there are on the market can work. And once you complete the inspection app, it'll send it to a data file, which will go into Ekotrope and update that energy model. It's kind of a multi-step process, but anytime, unfortunately, we integrate or connect software tools together, computers, follow orders really well. So once we get the kind of order of operations set up, they can execute those, over and over again without making any mistakes. Just have to get those set up correctly. So let me show you a quick demo. In our Ekotrope app, we have a few energy models here that are template energy models. Our vision is that this is a subdivision where the builder builds this home over and over again, and we'll copy this and put in new testing information for each home. Then over here, we have a project scheduler, project manager tool that we keep track of all the inspections that we need to do, when they need to get done. And you'll see that we have one for 1 Marina Park Drive, and it's scheduled for today. I'm going to go ahead and dispatch this inspection. And when I dispatch it, it pulls data from Ekotrope and sends it to my inspection app. You can see my inspection app right over here. This inspection app now has data in it and is ready to go. What I'm going to do is record information about this inspection, and when I'm done, I'll submit it. And when I submit it, it's going to format all this data and put it in my Dropbox account so I can upload it to Ekotrope. Once I've sent it, I can go back to Ekotrope and I can do a batch action, upload inspection sync JSON, and I can navigate to this file and upload it. Now this file could be one energy model, it could be hundreds of energy models, it could be 2 energy models. What it's going to do is it's going to take that data from this inspection app and find this particular energy model and update it. There we go, it's successful. And if I open this energy model up, you'll see that there's a new house plan that has that inspection data in it. And we've updated it and it's good to go. All of the things that I recorded in the field in my inspection app are now in Ekotrope energy model. That's pretty seamless, it's pretty fast. Let me show you a little bit more in detail how that works. So that is how an inspection process would work for you. But we also need to think about some considerations for your app before you start doing the integration. Some of the considerations that I like to highlight and I think are really important is what is your current inspection workflow today, and how does that map onto an inspection workflow with an app that is connected through all of these different tools. there's kind of 4 points here. There are dichotomies. You could be either or, but it's rarely all or nothing. It's usually a spectrum. So do you do blind inspections or have pre-filled inspection forms? Blind meaning you know nothing about the home when you arrive. Pre-filled meaning your inspection app is completely filled out and you're just verifying what you expected to be there is actually there. Do you only take photos or do you collect data as well as photos? And by data, I mean writing down the specific model number or the specific R value for that wall, or you just take a photo of that wall or that model number. Do you follow an artisan or an assembly line style? Does one person go soup to nuts, or do you have one person that does plan review, one person that does pre-drywall, one person that does final, and one person that does the final data entry in the assembly line style? Then the last consideration is, does your inspection tool, do you use it as a checklist, an inspection report, data collection, or just only serves as a camera? Now, you likely probably do pieces of all of these things, or 3 of the 4, or some assortment of those things. And when you're thinking about using an inspection app, it's important to identify which one you want to focus on, because not many inspection apps do all of them very, very well. Finally, what tools do you currently use? Are you currently paper and pencil or PDF, or do you already use an inspection app today? Did you build that inspection app in-house, or did you buy it off the shelf? And are those tools currently connected to Ekotrope or connected to any other tool via software connections? These are all things that you should be thinking about if you want to do this, and areas that you need to focus on if you already have some tools to figure out how to implement it. Let me go into a little bit more detail on these things. So one of the most important nuanced pieces is pre-filled or blind or validated or collection-based inspection workflow. When I say pre-filled or validated, what I mean is that when you go to a house, your inspection form is mostly filled out. It says, this is the target blower door number this home needs for it to pass an energy code. Or this home, we anticipate it having R13 in the walls, and if the 2x4, and no continuous insulation. All of these things are kind of expectations, and you're asking your field rater to either check a box, say, yes, I verified that this is what's there, and here's the photo that goes along with that, or I verified it, it doesn't match, this is actually what is in there, and here's a photo to verify that. This is more of a validation style. A lot of people do follow this workflow. It allows you to go really quickly because you're not necessarily making all of the measurements. You can recognize what's there, and you're only notating changes for the most part. This will probably always also include blower door results and total leakage or leakage outside. Now you can have various spectrums of this. You could say we want some data to be pre-filled, but other data we want not to give any preconceived notion of what should be there, because that might bias what they see out in the field. There's some positives and negatives to that, and I can see wanting to do it this way, and also some concern doing it this way. So it's up to you to find what's best for you, but this will be key to doing. Having a partially pre-filled inspection app will be key to making this whole integration work. The other way is blind or just pure data collection. And for this, you start the inspection with just the scope defined, and your field rater would go and collect all of the raw information. Geometry, window area, wall components, everything. And then they would take that data and build an energy model from that information. Again, there's a lot of benefits to this. You're not going to bias that rater by giving them any information ahead of time, but it may take longer to complete their work. And if you're going to do this, the data integration doesn't allow entering building geometry. So you would have to still make the building geometry, but then you could add the R values and what have you to the model using an integration. So really the sweet spot is kind of more towards the pre-filled data inspection workflow than the blind data inspection workflow. The other is, what kind of data are you collecting in your inspection app? Is the inspection app just a tool to take photos, and that the job of the field rater is to take a photo of all of the minimum rated features in that home, and then you send the photos back to the office and review the photos at the end of the day and transcribe that into your inspection report or the energy model. Or the alternative, or on the other end of the spectrum, is you record all the data, all the values for the MRFs, meaning you write down, it's an R13 wall, you write down the model number or type in the model number, and then as kind of augmented data collection and to show RESNET if they ask about an inspection, you also take a photo of that. Maybe you take a photo and then use a tool to copy that text of the model number out of the photo into your inspection app. But this data is stored in a data sheet and is stored in your inspection app so that somebody else can read that data and put it into an energy model. Again, for an inspection integrated process, we'll want to be more towards the data side of it than the photos, but I understand that the photos are still important and will be cutting edge once we're able to read data out of photos, but that's down the road. Some tools have that, but ultimately we do need that data to update the energy model because that's the information that goes into the energy model. A photo can't go into an energy model yet, at least. Next, digital or analog. Digital, do you use an inspection app to record the information, or are you using paper and pencil and a PDF generator or photo-only based app? We need to be more towards the digital side to make something integration work, because we're working with software tools. We need to have that as kind of our starting point. Another piece is it connected? Is your tool connected? And by connected, I mean there's this jargon called an API, which is just a connector block between two pieces of software that allow those softwares to communicate to one another via a predefined syntax and semantic and set of rules. We are working towards an integrated, connected process that allows you to transfer the data everywhere it needs to go. And that's where we need to be. I'm going to talk about how you can connect these tools. There's lots of off-the-shelf things to help you do this connection. We're also able to help you a little along the way at Ekotrope, but connected is kind of where we're going. Connected systems, and that makes it super streamlined. If you're not connected, and you'll need to kind of verify whether or not your tool can be connected, and we can help with that. It needs to have an API or be supported via kind of an if this then that software or a Zapier software to make it easy to connect things to one another. Finally, there's another kind of nuance here that's not super important, so I won't talk about too long. Are you doing an assembly line process or an artisan process? Artisan I think of more as one person doing everything from start to finish with an individual house. And that works just as well as the assembly line for an integrated process that I'm going to show you. And yeah, both work. Obviously it depends on your scale, which one you're doing, which one's best for you, but both work. The next thing we need to do is talk about exactly what your inspection app is actually doing. There's kind of 4 different things that it can be doing. One is serving as a checklist. And a checklist is just a tool to make sure that a user or somebody does everything that they need to do and not forget anything. And surgeons use checklists to make sure that they finish all the sutures and pull out the tools and have all their tools at the end of the surgery. Inspectors use it so they make sure that they remove their keys remove their keys from the gas water heater and also turn it back on. And checklists are tools, reminder tools. So many inspection apps serve as that as well. So it's a step-by-step process to make sure that you do everything you need to do. And doing everything you need to do may not be collect data, it may be something else. So some inspection apps serve as a checklist in addition to collecting data. So that's kind of a unique or a specific use case to make sure that you have your kind of controlling and making sure that your field raters are doing everything they need to do. The second use case or tool that an inspection app can be is generate inspection reports. And this tool is usually tied to a camera or a set of plans where you are using this inspection tool to make a punch list item or inspection result highlighting, highlights, hey, good job with this air sealing. Let me take a photo of it, highlight it, and show you where this great job is. Here's another place where the plumber came through and messed up the air sealing. So here's a photo of it. Make sure that you air seal around this plumbing penetration, and check all of those in all the units, and let me know when you're done. I'll come back and re-inspect. That's it. It generates an actual report saying, here's your energy code compliance results, and I'm going to format that into a report and send it to them from my inspection app. That's another kind of important thing to consider that some inspection tools are able to do. Another, like we've talked about, is a data collection tool. This tool just collects data, whether it's inspection or a survey or a form. You could think Jot Forms or Google Forms as a data collection tool. And this is just a data entry tool. And often this is what we're looking for when we are looking for an inspection app. But once we start looking at data collection, there's tons of types of data collection. Whether it's a peer survey for statistical scientific analysis for like some sort of science-based report, or it's to collect information for a HERS rating. And all of that kind of falls under data collection. Finally, there's a lot of tools that are kind of camera-based, and it takes photos, and sometimes it's optimized for geolocating photos on plans or landscape, and also sometimes they're used to format into punch list reports, like I've said before. And these tools usually require some sort of interpretation by the end user to look at that photo and interpret that into actionable data in the energy model or in a punch list. And what we see in the marketplace for inspection apps is that these are the 4 things that inspection apps try to do, and some focus more on parts of these than others. So some may make a really great checklist and data collection tool, but not be able to make an inspection report and may have really poor camera functionality. Others may be really great at data collection, really great at camera functionality, and really good at checklists, but have no inspection reports, or any combination of these. I've not seen any inspection app that does all 4 of these at the highest level. Most commonly, you see things that are really good checklists and really good data collection, and then a added bonus is a camera or a really good camera. Rarely do they have all 3 of those and inspection capabilities. Usually, if they're really good at making inspection reports, these other items are less good. Usually, if they are focusing on an inspection report, the apps really focus on that only, and the other things are kind of lost down the list, lower priority for them. That's just the way the experience I've seen. Would love to hear others how they think about these things, but generally this is the 4 things that an inspection app is trying to optimize for. So our roadmap is to help support you implementing a inspection app for your process, for your specific workflow, and integrate that with Ekotrope. To achieve most of the benefits of a connected workflow, we think we need to lean more towards having pre-filled, data entry-based, and connected inspection apps. Now, pre-filled, I mean having basic metadata about the app going into it. So like the number of walls, the number of mechanical systems, and the order of that mechanical system. That way, with that metadata, the inspection app can send the data back to the energy model and send it to the correct energy model as well as the correct mechanical system in the energy model. You can imagine that if you collect data in your app and you have data in your energy model, your app needs to be able to say that this duct leakage result is mapped or matches up with a particular duct system in your energy model. And to do that, it helps if you tell the inspection app first which mechanical systems or duct systems are in the home. That way, when you record the data in your app, you can record it for the particular one that is in the energy model. And when you send the data back to Ekotrope, you again send it back to the correct one. Now, when I say data entry, it helps for the field rater to write down the data that they see when they see it. We know a lot of folks are writing or taking photos and then sending that photo to somebody to interpret and write that data into the energy model. While we see lots of things about photo recognition and optical character recognition out of photos, we can't yet take a photo of a building facade or a interior wall assembly and know that it's a 2x4 with R13 cellulose insulation in the wall. We need to have that information written down. That way it can be sent into Ekotrope and sent into an energy model. Someday we'd love to be able to do a photo like that, but it's just not yet today. So if you want to eliminate duplicate data entry, your field rater will need to enter that data theirself. That way they're the kind of sole data collection person. You're not introducing other opportunities for error, and they're recording what they see in the field, and that data can maybe go through a QA process before it goes into Ekotrope, but you're not having to reinterpret it before it goes into Ekotrope. If you have to reinterpret it, you're probably just going to enter it into Ekotrope already, and you are already doing the duplicate data entry. So having the rater record the data in the field and take a photo is going to make it the easiest to do this integration and have the most benefit from this integration. And if you're worried about them typing in the right data, you can pre-fill, give them some clues, give them some basic baseline information to be looking for. That way they don't make any mistakes. And finally, it needs to be connected. It needs to be able to connect to all these different tools. So it needs to have an API, have the ability to import, export data to your inspection app. All right, so I've built some mock-up tools to support an integration, like I showed you earlier, really quickly. I'm going to show you kind of how that works on the back end, so you have a really strong understanding of what needs to be done, with what kind of code needs to be written, what's that complexity, and then I'm also going to show you how to do it with kind of point-and-click tools, no-code, low-code solutions as well. That way, you don't need to know how to write JavaScript or write a Google script as well. You can just do it all with a point-and-click user interface. I'm actually going to switch over to show Ekotrope account. So in Ekotrope here, I have a example rater account, and I have it filtered by all the projects that are named templates, that have template in their name. So these are all things that I'll copy and put in address-specific information when they're ready to go. The next thing is on this spreadsheet. Let me make it full size. I have some code written on the back end that will pull in all of the projects with the name template in them. That way I can get the project ID and the house plan ID for all of the homes that are going to be templates. Now this is really important, so when I'm scheduling an inspection, I can say this is the home that is going to be inspected and these are the IDs associated with that energy model. And that allows me to go to this tab down here that I have labeled jobs/inspections. And here I have a list of all of the jobs and inspections that are scheduled. You know, I have one scheduled for today and a few scheduled in the past. This one here, scheduled for today, it's today equals true. And what I've done is I've written a little bit of code that will dispatch this final inspection. When I dispatch the final inspection, it's going to go and find that energy model in Ekotrope, pull the data out of the energy model, format it correctly, and then send the inspection data to my phone and to my inspection app. When it does that, it'll also send me a notification, which you may have just heard. I'll open that up, and here's an inspection app right here for the address that I just selected. Now when I open this, it's going to have some information already in this inspection app. This is Pronto Forms, like I said before. It's not an Ekotrope tool, it's just a tool that we could buy off the shelf to build an inspection process. You'll see that I can tab through here, and I have information pre-filled. I don't have to have it pre-filled, I just did it so it's a little bit simpler. Some people do it this way as well. And you know, floors on or above grade. These are basically data points that are in the energy model, and they need to be in the inspection app so I can verify and record the data in the same manner that it goes into the energy model. I can also say the building orientation, and as I go through here, you know, I can say the building actually faces east, and I can go through and update any of the information in the energy model for the most part, like insulation R values, insulation grades, blower door, duct blaster results, kind of all of the things that you verify at the final inspection. Now here on the foundation wall, I could enter in here. It's a little bit slow today in this app for some reason. So I'm going to move on and submit this project. Once I've collected all the information, all I need to do with this app is press submit. And this will send the data to a Dropbox account. And that Dropbox account, this form actually formats the data into a JSON file. That way, when I go to Ekotrope, I'm able to upload an inspection sync JSON file. So right here, I can go and find the files. I could select all of these if I wanted and upload all of them at once, or I could just upload one. I'm going to upload one. It's going to go and find this energy model and update the information in it. It's going to take a little bit of time to churn through everything, but it's pretty quick. There, it's finished. Let me jump in here and show you what happened. So you'll see that it copied the house plan. This way you can see which house plan has the inspection data in it. And if you made a mistake, you can revert back to the way the information was previously. Now, if I open this up, we'll see kind of how individual changes are made. If we go to envelope, you'll see that any place where we made a change to the envelope section, there's a new library component. And this new library component says generated by inspection sync. So you know that it was edited by the field rater and they saw something different in the field. If they didn't see anything, it'd be the same library component that's in there. This library component also won't clutter up your library. It'll only be in this energy model. That way you don't have a crazy complicated library. It's just here. It's just the field rated data. Now, if we go through all of these updates we've made, lights and appliance counts, or lighting counts will be updated. The infiltration results can be updated. All of those things are updated. Now, what does that inspection sync file look like? It's a formatted JSON data file where we have all of the documentation online at our API documentation. So if we go through here and we see inspection sync documentation, this shows you exactly how that inspection sync format is and how it's structured. That way you can structure it correctly and make your inspection sync file work with your tool. So that's how it's assembled. We have the template energy models. We have the spreadsheet that has all of the template energy models in it. And that spreadsheet, like I said, I wrote a little bit of code. And what it does is it uses the Get Project List API to get all the projects that have named template and store them in the spreadsheet so I can have access to them. And once I have that, then I also use the Get Project to get the master plan ID for each project in there as well. Then I can store that data in the sheet and use it over and over again. Then for each job or each lot, I create a new job, new inspection record in this spreadsheet, and I assign a template that's going to be used at that lot. And when I assign that template, that means I also know which energy model in Ekotrope will be used for that energy model. Next, I can dispatch this data to an inspection app. I pull the data from Ekotrope, I then send it to the inspection app with some code on the back end of Google Sheets, and then it's sent to the inspection app and the inspection inspector. We can always help you identify how these things get put together and help you figure out the pieces of the puzzle to put together. So if you're interested in that, contact us and we can help out. The next thing is, in the inspection app yourself, you'll complete the inspection. This inspection app, the data was pre-filled from that template energy model, and preferably your inspection app is like this Pronto Forms that is able to receive data from an API like this. Some tools don't work super well like that, but it's going to be really important. That way we can map HVAC testing equipment to the HVAC system in Ekotrope. Once all of that's mapped together, we always know the data is going to be accurate as it flows through this workflow. Finally, once you complete the inspection, this particular tool sends the data to a Dropbox account formatted in that inspection sync JSON format. That way you can upload it into Ekotrope. Then you can just drag and drop the JSON file into Ekotrope, And you can do one or hundreds of files at once, and each individual inspection sync file can also hold one or hundreds of energy models as well. That's essentially how it happens. Every time you upload new data to a home, there will be a new house plan added to it. So in our workflow, if we were actually implementing this, we'd actually copy the energy model before we input data. And that's just another little step that could be implemented into here very easily. So the workflow summary. So you have Ekotrope and you have your project management tool. In Ekotrope, you build the template energy model, and the template energy model has a house plan. The project management tool, in our case Google Sheets, will get the template energy model ID and the house plan IDs out of Ekotrope via an API call. That way you have a record of all your template energy models in your project management tool. You can also load that into your project management tool using the project details CSV export from Ekotrope as well. That way in your project management tool, you can keep track of individual lots that you're doing inspections on, each job and task for each lot, as well as the energy model details for that specific lot. Then when an address is known for a specific lot and for a specific energy model, you can copy the project and make a lot or address specific energy model in Ekotrope rather than the generic template. Finally, you'll grab house plan information from Ekotrope and dispatch it to your inspection tool with kind of arrows flowing like this. The PM tool gets data to and from Ekotrope, and it sends data to and from your inspection app. And your inspection app can then send it directly back to Ekotrope. Some cases, maybe your inspection app sends it to the project management tool and sends it to Ekotrope, but it's not too hard. Once you have the data moving in one direction, it's not too hard to send it back. So that's essentially how you can use Google Sheets and this Pronto Forms account to do that. I want to show you one other way because implementation can be easier than you think. The first time I did this, I did Google Sheets and did the code on the back end because I thought that was going to be the best way. But since then, we've done some work to make it even easier for you. So many of these connections between Ekotrope and Project Management Tool and Inspection App and whatnot can be implemented using a tool called Zapier. Zapier is a piece of infrastructure on the internet that you can have an account with. It's a small fee to run it, but it allows you to make all of these connections without having to write any code yourself. So it's super easy to do, super powerful. Let me show you how it's done. So I'm going to go to zapier.com, and on Zapier, I have a bunch of zaps. Zap is their generic term of kind of a task, automating a task. And we're going to build this. So I'm going to implement the exact same workflow except with no code and do it live right here. And to do that, I'm going to get anytime an inspection is added to this workflow, it's going to trigger Zapier to send data to my inspection form. And anytime the inspection form is complete, it's going to send data back to Dropbox so I can upload it to Ekotrope. So it's a little bit different here, where instead of looking at is it scheduled today, instead of anything that's scheduled today, anytime I add a row here, so insert row below, insert row below, and then I add data here and say this is at 14 Edgar Court, and it's for the same people. It's scheduled for today. Doesn't matter. It's going to say anytime a new row or a new inspection is added to our to-do list, that's going to be triggered and going to send data to your inspection app. So we're still going to be based on Google Sheets here as my scheduling tool. But Zapier allows you to do this very easily. I'm going to go ahead and create a Zap. And this works with triggers, and a trigger is an event that starts this data workflow, data process to start. And I'm going to say it's based on my trigger event is in Google Sheets. And I'm going to say whenever a new spreadsheet row is added to a particular spreadsheet, start a process. So I'm going to do that, continue. Now I just need to tell it, which spreadsheet in my Google Sheets account I should follow, I should listen to. And I'm going to select my project schedule manager spreadsheet, and I'm going to say, look at the jobs and inspections tab. That's the one I just showed you. I'm going to go continue. It's going to test this trigger. So it's going to go and look at that project schedule manager spreadsheet, and it's going to get the last row and say, hey, does this look like the spreadsheet that you want to use? And it does. So I'm going to continue. So the next thing is, what should happen now that I have a new spreadsheet row added to my scheduler, or a new inspection added to my schedule? What I'm going to tell it to do is I'm going to say, great, there's been a new inspection added. So now I need to go to Ekotrope and get data from that energy model and get the data I need to send to my inspection app. So I'm going to say get house plan data. And I'm going to choose the Ekotrope credential that I have to use this tool. And this action in Zapier, I need to specify the house plan ID that I'm getting data for. And to do that, whenever I click in here, it has a bunch of these data fields from that spreadsheet that it pulled in. So anytime a new row is added, it's going to take this plan ID, and in this example, it's this ID, and send it to Ekotrope and get the house plan ID for plan data for the specific house plan. Next, I'm going to test it and continue, and it's going to go ahead and grab data for that specific house plan, and it was successful. Now I'm going to add another action, press this, and say, let's send this data to a particular inspection app. You'll see there's a few here. I'm going to use fast field forms. I'm going to create a form dispatch. And it's going to ask me which account I want to use. I'm going to say my fast field forms account. And it's going to ask me now, which inspection do I want to get to fill data into? And I'm going to say the final HERS inspection form that I made. Now let me show you that final HERS inspection form right now. So over here, this is fast field form, just another inspection app tool that is out there to be used. And I'm going to go and show you what my form looks like. I'm going to start this form. Now this is just a mocked up inspection app that I've made. And so it has some basic information like street address, rating date, rater of record, and a few other things like how many floors on or above grade, conditioned floor area, lighting counts, infiltration and duct leakage results, things like that. So let me go back to Zapier. And what it's asking me now is, how do I want to pre-fill this inspection form, and who should I send it to? Now, the first one says recipient's email address. I'm just going to go in here and say, send it to the inspector that it's scheduled for, and I have that inspector's email address in my scheduler tool. And what do I want this thing to be called? What do I want this inspection to be called? So when they get the notification, they understand what's happening. And in my scheduler tool, I have the job type. In this case, it's HERS final, and I'm going to add the address. So they know it's a HERS final at this address. And for the project name, I'm going to just call it the address name. And now it's just plug and play. It asks for a due date, and I'm going to say the due date is from the spreadsheet when it was scheduled. The address that they're going to, again, is the address. So it's just real simple. I just take the data from either the spreadsheet or from the Ekotrope Zap and pre-fill this form. City can come from either place. And as we go down here, we'll see street address, Alpha 2. This is the street address from the fast field form. So whatever I put in here will be filled into that form itself. So we can do address. Let's move on down here. Importantly, we need the Eco ID. So I'm going to fill in the Eco ID. And I'm going to just type in here and search for it. I get the project ID. And you can go down here and you just map all of the data flow from Ekotrope into this particular form. I'm going to press continue. And once it's done, I can just test this and continue. And now it says, do I want to turn it on? Once I turn it on, every time a new row is added to that spreadsheet or a new inspection is scheduled and added to that spreadsheet, it will grab that information and dispatch it to my fast field form. That way, my field rater will get information on their phone in their app to collect the information. And you just did the whole integration right there. Now the next part is, how do you take the data from that form and send it back to Ekotrope? Again, we can do this super easily. And let me just show you on this right now live. Again, I'm going to create a new Zap. And I'm going to say fast field form is the starting point because that's the inspection app that I've used. And the trigger event is going to be anytime a new form is submitted. So anytime a rater in the field completes their inspection and press submit, this thing will start. And this will initiate the process to send the data back into Ekotrope. And again, I just need to select the correct user account, select the correct form, hers final. You just have to test it once. Now the next thing is, what do I want to do when that form is completed? In this case, I'm going to say send data to Dropbox. And I'm going to tell it to create a new text file. We're going to tell this system, so when a form is completed, write a text file which is formatted like a JSON file and add it to my Dropbox account. And from there, I'll be able to upload all of the inspections into Ekotrope at the end of the day and update all of my energy models at once. So it's pretty simple here. All you have to do is select the folders that you want. I'm going to call this, you just need, how do I want to name the file? And let's just name it the address plus rater name. And now we need to say what data do we want to write to this file. And one way you can do that is you can use our JSON schema that tells you how the data format needs to be. And you can copy this data here and paste it into this format. And it takes a little bit of learning, but once you understand how this is structured, you'll see on the left is the project ID, the key, and then the token here is this. And instead of this example data, we want to put in the actual ID here, which you can see all the available data from the fast field forms. We have that project ID right here, and you just put the tag for that data label there. So anytime a form is completed, it gets sent to here and pre-fills this data. Let me show you just what this looks like really simply. I have an example here pre-built, and let me just copy paste this into the file here. And we're all set. So now that it's all set, it's all assembled, it's going to test it and it's going to ask, do we want to turn it on? Now that the Zap is turned on, everything is connected. Anytime anytime an energy model is scheduled in our project management tool, like this, it will send data to our inspection app, and then anytime the inspection is completed, it will send data back to Dropbox so we can upload it into Ekotrope. We did that in about 10 minutes of that implementation. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of time to make sure that your field inspection app is set up and formatted the way that you would like it, and to make sure that your scheduling tool, whether it's Google Sheets or something else, is set up and working the way you like it. But actually connecting everything together works pretty well and is pretty simple. So a few frequently asked questions that we've had helping others implement this workflow as well is, can Ekotrope help us implement a connected inspection workflow? Definitely. We hope that this session will kind of show you that it's possible and that you're able to do it. And if you want to, you can go about doing it yourself, but we're always here to help you do that as well. And we can take a more active role in it if you need. But either way, we're happy to help. We want to make this industry as efficient and as efficient as possible. What inspection apps work well for a connected inspection workflow? So we have a list of a number of inspection apps that work pretty well. I would say that others work better than some others, but I would say that Prontoforms, GoCanvas, Fast Field Form are all really good. Then our internal kind of industry built tools also work well, whether it's Energy Smack is implementing this soon and Dash is implementing it, I believe, as well. So I'd recommend kind of those. There's others out there as well. Again, there's tons of options out there, but really you want to look for something that is on Zapier already, or something that has lots of API connectivity and you can dispatch pre-filled forms via that API is really important. But reach out to us if you want help with that. The second follow-up is like what project management tools work well as well. And again, Google Sheets is super flexible, but there's tons out there. Lots of project management tools have API functionality, Airtable, and then some of our industry tools as well. Salesforce works well. But again, you want to focus really on kind of what I talked about earlier, making sure that it has the connectivity capability and that you've identified what you're trying to do. Are you trying to be your scheduling tool? And in case, try and find something that has a really strong scheduling tool as well as it being connected. Do I need to know how to code to implement this workflow? No, not really. With Zapier, you don't need to know how to code, but if you're using a tool that's not supported on Zapier, then you may need to. Can this work for multifamily? It can, definitely. Multifamily has a little bit different workflow just because you have many of the same energy models over and over again, or you're doing sampling, but that workflow can work as well. What if I don't build a template or projected energy model first? Again, that's going to really help. You're going to have to build it eventually. So if you want to collect all of your building geometry information in an inspection, build that energy model, and then update it with Inspection Sync once you've built that. That works as well. There's no reason not to do that. But at that point, you may be starting to lose some of the value of the time savings of using Inspection Sync. What parts of the energy model can be updated via this workflow? For the most part, it's everything other than building geometry. By building geometry, I mean the surface area parts of the building envelope, saying the actual area, and adding new pieces of the building envelope. Those things are fairly complex changes, so we think that once you're going to make a change there, you probably should be in the energy model to make sure that you're recreating an energy model that doesn't have any errors in it and is accurate. So anything other than that is fair game for the most part. Duct blaster, blower door results, and lights and appliances, and the actual core content, the library entries of the walls and building envelope, as well as mechanical systems. You can get full information on our website at the apidocs.ekotrope.com, like I showed you just a little bit ago. And we also have some other collateral on our website to learn more about how this can be implemented. Okay, a quick review of the process. You can have a project management scheduling tool like a Google Sheet where you store all of your scheduled inspections. Anytime a scheduled inspection comes up, it can trigger workflow that pulls data from Ekotrope and sends it to your inspection app. Your inspector can complete the inspection, and anytime that inspection is submitted, it can trigger another workflow that downloads an Inspection Sync JSON file and sends it to a location where you can upload it to Ekotrope for a seamless data connection. So thanks for sitting around and listening to this webinar and this session about a connected workflow. We think that a connected workflow like this will save 5 to 15 to 20 minutes of data entry per energy model. You can eliminate the bottleneck of data entry, and hopefully, your clients will appreciate that and appreciate getting results a little bit faster, and you'll have fewer sources of error. So your root cause analysis is simpler. The ways you can get started is, identify which workflow works best for you. Like I talked about earlier, are you data collection or photos, or validating inspections versus raw data collection, and find the app that works best for you. Review the documentation and build a test case. Build a test case first just to verify everything works, and you can move forward and do that quickly, and so you don't have too much of an investment into any particular app or workflow before you roll it out, just to do a test case and a proof point. And then once you do that, start to scale it up to all of the data in your inspection workflow and all of the different inspection types you have, and then all of your users as well. If you'd like to learn more, here's some links to popular inspection apps and links to the Ekotrope documentation for this. And always, feel free to email me at david@ekotrope.com, and I'm happy to help you kind of figure out how to get on your own roadmap to implementing a connected inspection workflow. Thanks again. Thanks for your time, and take care and stay healthy.